What's up, Rivet Wars fans? My name's Lieutenant Nathaniel Flynn of the Landship Scorpios, and today we're coming back for another Rivet Wars video. Today we are handling the Tesla bot. The new Ruska faction introduced many new interesting units, and the Tesla bot is one of the most unique we've seen. So without further ado, let's hop right into his stats. So first, let's discuss this beautiful model. The Tesla bot model is really nice. It is a prototype, so at first it doesn't look like there's much to go off of. But it's got this beautiful, unique design. Let's get into some of the stats. So the Tesla bot is an infantry unit type. It has a deployment cost of 1 deployment point. And it's going to be armor type 1, so these guys are going to be quite easy to take out, as well as only having a health of 1. Now the Tesla bot only has a movement speed of 1, which means he can move 1 grid at a time. We're going to get into its attack in a moment, because the attack is integral with its special skill. But first, let me just tell you its attack is 1 flat grid attack. And it gets 1 dice against armor type 1, 1 dice against armor type 2, 1 dice against armor type 3, and it's one of the few units to attack armor type 4, again with 1 dice. Now let's talk about its special and its attacking for just a moment. First off, it has immunity to gas. It's one of the few Ruska units with immunity to gas. And it has a special called Arc Lightning. Real quick, I'll read Arc Lightning word for word. So it's Arc Lightning. Unit can only attack grid adjacent to more than 1 Tesla bot grid. This puts the Tesla bot in a very interesting situation. Tesla bots can only attack in grids where there's more than 1 adjacent Tesla bot. This means that if there are 2 Tesla bots in the same grid, they can't attack 1 grid over. That grid needs to be adjacent to 1 or more Tesla bot grids. What this means is the Tesla bots can attack here, 2 grids with Tesla bots in it, attacking in here. It can also attack here, 2 grids in. Here, it's adjacent to these 2 tiles. Here and here. This is a double-edged sword, as it's a pretty interesting attack. On the plus side, we'll discuss, this means, in theory, if you have a Tesla bot back at your deployment zone, or even somewhere else on the map really far away, it does not state on the card or in the rules for Arc Lightning that it needs to be the attacking Tesla bot's adjacent grid. They can only attack units who are adjacent to 2 Tesla bot grids. In theory, if you have a 3rd Tesla bot somewhere else on the map, then they can attack this grid because it's adjacent to these 2 Tesla bot grids. That means they could, in theory, have an infinite range just as long as you have more than 1 Tesla bot close enough to be adjacent to some grids. This has the potential to be vastly overpowered. Again, especially with being able to attack high armored units like 3 and 4, you would be able to have so many multiple strikes against those units as long as you have a lot of Tesla bots. If you have, say, 4 Tesla bots deployed, that's 4 attacks, flat grid attacks, against a grid that is adjacent to 2 or more Tesla bot grids. Now, before we start arguing of whether or not that's the intended use of these units, or whether or not that's overpowered or not, we need to remember the negative. The negative means that you must have 2 or more of these units out on the field before they could even attack another unit, regardless of how close they are. These units have a movement speed of 1, a armor type of 1, and a health of 1. That means these units are going to be incredibly vulnerable against Allied and Blight players. Allied riflemen, as we have established against the Blight, are extremely good at taking out those armor type 1 units. As they get 3 entire dice against them, they're masters of taking out the armor type 1 units. And with the slow, with a range of 2, these Tesla bots are going to be hard pressed to get farther up the field. On top of that, let's not forget units like the Allied's Hammer Pounder or the Blight Schlitten that would easily be able to take out Tesla bots that are within 1 grid or 2 grids apart. This is going to severely hamper this unit, getting it close to strategic objectives and bunkers where they would be ideal to clean out those locations of enemies. But getting them that far up and that close is going to be extremely difficult. Let's also remember that even though they get a flat grid against everyone in the grid, they only get 1 dice. So even though you would be able to attack with 2 Tesla bots minimum against the same grid, that's still a hard press, far from being overpowered, with only that 1 dice chance to attack. However, just like dogs, they do not have the stipulation of the Plague Troopers or the Clockwork Troopers that they cannot hold strategic objectives. So just like dogs, should you clear a strategic objective, they are able to move inside and capture that objective. And with that, that's all we have on the Tesla bot today. Without knowing more about Tesla, which is their side unit there, we don't really have more information on how they're going to be able to be used effectively on the battlefield. I do have some ideas that would make this unit a little better. Some of these ideas I'm going to talk about in our next video, the part 2 of this unit, which is our Tesla speculation video, as Tesla stats have not been released yet. I'm going to give my ideas on the unit, and it's going to play heavily with the Tesla bots. However, I would like to give this unit an air range without the stipulation of the special. Now this effectively would only give them 1 dice against armor type 1 in the air, since all the planes are armor type 1. So it wouldn't be fantastic, but I feel like the fact that they attacked with electricity and lightning could mean that they could call down thunder against air units. I think that would be perfectly reasonable logic to give them a 1 air range, and that would just be 1 more unit with air range in the Ruska faction that would hopefully help them out against these other well-established factions. And would also give the Tesla bots a little bit more use. They are cheap with 1 deployment point, but I just feel like there are so many negatives that using these units practically is really hard pressed. In our 2 games that we've played with the Ruska faction so far, they were a waste of deployment points, especially with the Ruska Cossacks needing all those amounts to get their numbers out in the field to make the most use of them. I don't see them being used very much unless their relationship with the Tesla hero vastly improves and vastly changes their usage and abilities. And with that, that's all the time we have for today on the Tesla bot. If you have any thoughts and feelings on the Tesla bot, please feel free to continue the discussion down in the comment section of this video or on the official Rivet Wars subreddit or the forums. We do want to keep this conversation going. Follow it on Twitter using hashtag Rivet Wars. Also, feel free to give Rivet Wars your love by following Rivet Wars on Twitter and on Facebook, as well as Super Robot Punch, who has also been sharing and adding some Rivet Wars news. Who would you like to see next in another video? We've already covered some Ruska units and their stats with the new stuff. Who would you like to see next? But also, feel free to stick around because very shortly there will be a companion video to this one, which is us speculating on the Tesla Hero and its stats. And we'll keep that discussion going. Until those stats are officially released, we only have speculation. So I'm going to share some ideas that will affect this Tesla bot video. Let me know who else you want to see down in the comments. There's still a few Ruska units we haven't touched on, and I will be trying to make those videos and get them out as soon as possible. If you like this content, do subscribe for more Rivet Wars content and check out the rest of my Rivet Wars videos, including the other Ruska videos I've covered so far. If Rivet Wars isn't your thing, do not worry. I do have more steampunk content on my channel, as well as World Hatchery 101, and more videos that are steampunk related, event related, and World Hatchery 101 Season 2 in the works and on its way. And with that, thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys have a wonderful day.